I could give other illustrations in plenty of the wise timidity of the infallible authority in declining to solve disputed questions. For instance, at Trent there was another question left unsettled besides that of the Immaculate Conception. A question arose whether bishops have their jurisdiction directly by divine right, or whether they only derive it from the Pope. But after hot disputes, it was found expedient to drop the controversy. You will find in Burnet's commentary on the 17th article a notice of another controversy which the Pope neglected to determine, though asked to do so. I refer to controversies between the Dominicans and the Jesuits at the very end of the 16th century. The matter in dispute belonged to the class of subjects debated between Calvinists and Arminians. The Jesuits, who took what we may call the Arminian side, were accused of Pelagianism by the Dominicans, who followed the Augustinian teaching of their great doctor Thomas Aquinas. In 1594, the Pope undertook the decision of the question. Here we have the very case to meet which one might suppose the gift of infallibility had been conferred. Hot controversy in the Church terminated by a resort of both parties to the infallible authority for guidance. Of course, it was not to be expected that the Pope should determine so great a question hastily. No. He appointed committees of theologians to examine the arguments on both sides, known as the celebrated Congregations de Exilius, the subject of their inquiries being the help of divine grace bestowed by God on man. I will not weary you with the history of the delays of the investigation. Suffice it to say that after going on some 20 years, no result was arrived at. And politically, this was the wisest course. For if a decision were made, it must of necessity give offense to one or other of two powerful parties, supported the one by the King of Spain, the other by the King of France. And there was quite a possibility that the rejected party might refuse to submit, and even pronounce the Pope himself heretical. But would there be any such danger if the parties to the dispute believed in the Pope's infallibility, or if he believed in it himself? If Christ himself appeared upon earth, we should be glad to obtain from him an authoritative solution of any of our religious controversies, and we should not dream of stopping his mouth lest his decision should be opposed to our prepossessions. So, though these men profess to believe that the Pope, as a guide to truth, fills the place of Christ on earth, their conduct proves that they do not believe what they say. And the Pope's own conduct shows that he felt himself not in the position of a judge authorized to pronounce a decision to which all parties must submit, but only in that of the common friend of two angry disputants, in favor of neither of whom he dare plainly declare himself, on pain of losing the friendship of the other. In other words, every time the Pope has thought of making a dogmatic decision, he has had to make a prudential calculation of the danger of provoking a schism. And on the occasion of his last definition, a schism, as you know, was actually made. But fear on his part of succession shows mutual want of faith in Roman pretensions. For who would punish himself by succeeding from the only authorized channel of divine communications? Who would refuse to believe anything if it was declared to him by God himself, or by one who, he was quite sure, had authority to speak in God's name? Lord Bacon tells a story of a wise old man who got a great reputation for his success in settling disputes. When privately asked by a friend to explain the secret of his success, he told him it was because he made it a rule to himself never to interfere until the parties had completely talked themselves out and were glad to get peace on any terms. That was just the way in which the Pope settled the controversy about the Immaculate Conception, by carefully holding his tongue until the dispute was practically over. Thank you. Thank you and good night.